Hi, and welcome to the latest series of videos from Plant Photonics. In these videos we're going to be doing something a little bit different. If you're interested in LED grow lights, you've probably at some time or other thought about making your own but given up because you figured it's too complicated. Well, it's not as difficult as you might think, and it gives you several advantages. If you make your own, you can get the spectrum exactly the way that you want it, and of course you get the satisfaction of making something yourself rather than just buying it. Now you can save quite a bit of money. The total parts cost for this round up at roughly something like £93, 110 euros, or about $120. So that's pretty good. The light will work out at roughly just under 80 watts. I figure probably somewhere around 75 to 80 watts. And that's enough to cover a 50 by 50 grow tent very nicely. You can probably stretch it up to about a 60 by 60 or down to a 40 by 40 if you really want to go for it. Now, these are the parts that we're going to be using, plus quite a bit more. And first of all, I'll just introduce you to the components that you're going to be using, starting off with the LEDs and circuit boards. Okay, now if you've ever had much to do with LEDs, you'll recognize these. This is your standard star printed circuit board. With this one's got a LED mounted on it. What you might not have seen before is this type. These can take up to 7. This one is a 7 LED unit. And you don't really want to mess around with these because we're going to be putting 42 LEDs on here, and that would mean 42 of these stars all wired together and mounted on the board. No, too much work. Now, I was hoping to be able to do it with this size of LED. These will both go on the same circuit board, one like this. The reason for that is they're nice and big. Yeah, I mean, you can just literally do it with your fingers. You don't even need to use tweezers with these. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anywhere that sold a complete range of the colors that we're going to need, which is red, hyper red, deep blue, royal blue is also known as, and white. And I wanted to keep them all to the same source so that you didn't wind up paying multiple times for shipping, and to make it much easier for you. So, having hunted around, I actually found the best price available was on the Osram Oslon LEDs. I could get all of the colors from a company called RS, which is available all over Europe, the UK, and the US. So no problem with ordering the parts. The only problem is they're really small. They're what are called 30-30 format. That's 3 millimeters, about 1/8 of an inch on a side. So they are tiny. These are the ones we're actually going to be using in this project because I happen to have loads of them. These are 35-35 format, a little bit bigger but still pretty darn small. And these are the LEDs that I'm going to be using. I've already got the quantities. Got 15 of each red and hyper red, and 6 of blue and white. Now we're going to be needing a few other things, so let's take a look and see what's next. Okay, when we go to mount these, when they've got the LEDs on them, we're going to mount it to the aluminum plate that's going to form the body of the light. Now, when we do that, we need to put some heat transfer paste between, or heat sink compound as it's usually known, between this and the circuit board. Now here we've got 3 different grades. This is your standard white lithium grease. It's low quality, low conductivity. It has a thermal rating of 1, conductivity rating of 1. This is a much higher quality. This has got a rating of 3.17. That's the one that we're actually going to be using in this project. And this is just at the extreme end, really. This is Arctic Cooling MX4. This has got a rating of 6.5, and it's the sort of stuff you use with a high-end processor and put the heat sink on it for efficient cooling. Okay, given the tiny size of the LEDs that we're going to be dealing with, you're going to need a pair of tweezers. These are great ones if you're into electronics or any kind of hobby that requires a decent pair of tweezers. I've had these for years. They're absolutely brilliant, really good quality, and they cost, I think it was $1.30 last time I checked. And again, I'll be including the, these are Vetus. So, a better view here. Yeah. Anyway, they're Vetus ESC11s. These are electrostatic safe and really, really good quality and very cheap, about $1.30. Now, to help you see what you're doing, because these are quite small, you may want to get a pair of, or borrow a pair of sort of the reading glasses, depending on what your eyesight's like. It's actually not as difficult as you might think to actually line everything up, provided you can actually see what you're doing. So you might want to get a pair of these. You can buy them for just a couple of pounds down at a local, £1 shop. Okay, now, of course, we've got to solder the LEDs onto the circuit board. And to do that, we're going to be using solder paste. Now, I'm going to recommend this one. This is Mechanic brand. Let's bring it up here and get a better look at it, getting some serious shadow action on the table there. Okay, this is Mechanic brand. You can buy it from loads of different places, any of the places like Deal Extreme, eBay, Fast Tech. I usually recommend Fast Tech as an excellent company to buy stuff like this from China. I've never had any problems with them. Quite the opposite. They've always been absolutely great. If something gets lost in the post, they actually will quite often notify you that it's disappeared off the tracking before you've realized it and given you a full refund. This stuff, you only need a small jar. This is, I think, 50 grams. That's about the smallest that you can get. And really and honestly, this will last you forever. You use such a tiny, tiny amount. Now, this is what it looks like. Got the lid off here. Don't know if you can really see that very well. Okay, there you go. It's a bit distracting, but anyway, it's a sort of a gray sludgy paste, and you'll use this to put it on the circuit board. Now, to put it on the circuit board is a bit tricky. We'll be using, normally it's printed on, you have a mask, which is a material, usually stainless steel, that goes over what you're printing onto. You put some solder paste on and you squeegee it across. Obviously, we don't have that sort of stuff for this, so you have to dab it on carefully by hand. Now, you can use anything. For example, this thin copper wire would work well. And something like this. This is a dispensing needle. It's not an actual syringe. There's no point on it. It's got a blunt end. That works quite well as well for digging it and putting it on. And of course, we're going to need a power supply to run this. Now, this is the one we're going to be using in this project. I'm going to be using. In the bill of materials, there's a link for a really good Meanwell power supply. It's also adjustable, so you can actually, there's two versions. One is dimmable. If you want to attach a dimmer switch and regulate the power, maybe you want to turn the power down for seedlings or something like that, or you can just move the light further away, but you might want to cut the power a bit, and you can do it with the power supply that is in the bill of materials listing. When you get a power supply, if you decide to deviate from this design and make it a smaller or more powerful one, make sure you have a wattage that's compatible. You want to keep it reasonably close, like don't put a 100-watt power supply on a 40-watt light, it won't work very well. And make sure you have the right current. These LEDs are quite happy at 700 milliamps. They can go up to about 1,000 milliamps, but it's always better to run them under their maximum power rating. And also make sure that the input voltage, the mains voltage, is compatible for your region. These can go from 90 to 264 volts. The Meanwell is the same, so you can use it anywhere from Japan to Europe. So no problems. Okay, last but definitely not least, we need something to hold it all together. We need something to mount the LEDs, the power supply on, and hold it all together. This is going to be the framework of our light. So since I wanted to make it something that anyone could get easily, I'm using this aluminum tray. It costs $5.50 and it's about, what is the size of this thing? 35 by 31. Now, if you're wondering why I chose something so big, given the fact that that's the size of our LEDs, okay, we're going to have 6 of them spread around on here, is that I wanted to make it passive cooling, no fan, nice and easy to make. And this is something that anyone can get. I mean, you don't have to use this particular type of item. You can use pretty much anything you wanted to. Initially, I was thinking about using a large aluminum fry pan, but I couldn't find one that didn't have Teflon coating and didn't have sort of a textured bottom. You need something flat to mount these to for good heat transfer. So I thought this was ideal. And the large surface area is plenty to dissipate the heat, and it's just easy to work with and a decent size. So this is what we're going to be using. The next stage, of course, is to put the LEDs onto the circuit boards, and then we can get on to mounting on those. I'm looking forward to showing you how to reflow solder in your own house. This is quite a useful thing to know, because if you want to do any kind of electronics work, normally people say, oh, get a reflow oven. If you buy one, even a cheap one off the internet from China, you're still looking at like close to 1,000 euros. And there is a much cheaper way of doing it, and we'll be getting to that in the next video.